Oh my, no wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that. I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He's sure to be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well, I suppose we'll have to come back again later. Guess we go talk to him. He's still in prison. Oh my goodness. It's the equations coming out of a confused woman's face meme. I forget if it has a name. What's he doing? Oh my, the whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations. And he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. And who is this young lady? My name is Susato Mikotoba. I'm Dr. Naruhodo. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner. None of this would have happened. Nein, that is not logical. It makes no sense at all. Oh dear. I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. Oh no. No. Nein. The whole thing. The whole miserable affair. It all happened because I've been such a complete and utter Dummkopf. Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell? Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand. Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass? Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? No, actually. This is my autobiography. Your autobiography? I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain. I've found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers in an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really? I'm going to have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. So it's going to be a new serial publication from next month. Part 1, an odd birth, an odd upbringing. Can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. But is he really going to divide the velocity of t by dt? I don't think he knows what he's talking about. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case? Oh yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled, I was fiddled, by the pair of them, by Asman, and by that aloof engineer Drepner. We're not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? The Shin of Megami equals Tensei? Oh my god. Who would have thought? Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asman's the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even. I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. Such devastation. I didn't want to trick the public. No, of course you didn't. But in court this morning, I realized something. Oh? If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you're aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame lies with me. Oh, Professor. He believed in me this morning, you know. Barak did. He believed in my hypothesis. Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No. Barak wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it. Did he? I think I understand now. Why it was he decided to take on the prosecution in my trial, I mean. After the terrible accident happened, no one would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even. I feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there. So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barak, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis complete and utter nonsense. And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly. Which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Barak insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish. You think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it. What about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start? I'm sorry to say, that does seem likely, yes. When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused, he was so emphatic. But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems. I still can't believe it. As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic, it probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually. But the scale of it wasn't just some small trick, it was a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that only to be taken for a complete fool, it's too rotten to believe. It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Shoot them with my truth gun. Mr. Asman is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber. Is he an engineer or a magician or a swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Asman first brought Drebber to meet me at my laboratory. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the Kinesis machine. But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusion? An ist? Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation. I see. But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues you can give us as to his whereabouts? I'm sorry. We only ever discussed the Kinesis machine, nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop. What workshop? Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory where he constructed my great machine. Why didn't you mention this before? Enoch Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the man there. Maybe we could even tell the police to go there so that if he's about to get away, they can arrest him, shoot him. I don't know. Hit him with clubs. So you've been to Drebber's place of work then? Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance we'll find Drebber there. Well, yes, definitely, I'm sure. As in, I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then. The place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best, a special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget their secret formula and use that instead. What do you think, Miss Susato? Eau de machine for your next birthday? I've never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card from Mr. Drebber, for example? The man was clearly very cautious, Miss Susato. I'm sure he... Aha! Yes, I do. He gave me his business card once. It's right here, look. What? Let me see that. Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you? Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address. There's something, though. Oh, no there isn't. It's just his name on there twice. No? Oh well, can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could have something written on the other side, so I'm going to flip it over. Duh. Duh, what do I look like? Look like my first rodeo? Do I look like a cowboy to you? Am I wearing a cowboy hat and stirrups? Do cowboys wear stirrups? I don't think they do. This dark smudge here. I think perhaps it's machine oil. Ah yes, possibly. Professor Harebrained mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported, very high-quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Yes, that's right, but more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. So, excuse me a minute. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all. Well, of course not. The business card is laminated. Don't worry. I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. No? I'm not allowed to inspect the front? I'm not. Professor Harebrained, what do you make of this? Okay, come on. Come on. Care about this? He doesn't care. Professor, do you recognize this? Ah, it's Andrew, my faithful friend. How have you been? Are you alright? No one's mistreated you, have they? Don't worry, he's being very well looked after. In my pants. I always rub him with machine oil until he's gleaming. Right. And then, when I come to tighten a screw with him, he slips in my hand, and I can't do it. It's that age-old problem faced by driver files the world over, isn't it? I really wouldn't know, I'm afraid. What, this guy never been on the internet? He doesn't know there's people that lewd screwdrivers? Noob. An absolute noob. It says spend a little more time investigating here, but I'm sure we inspected everything. Let's go back to here, I guess. Nothing else to ask her. Is there anything new that we've found, such as this? Is she gonna be like, oh, that's my dad? Where did you get a picture of my dad? About this, Gina. Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble... actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh? How come? It's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is very high-quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say. Let's have a whiff, then. You sure? I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Oh, right. You mean Toby? His sense of smell is so good he can track people over oceans, can't he? Professor Harebrain informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Sniff, sniff, sniff. I think he's picked up a scent. Nah, I think he was just barking. As a dog, it barks. So you mean if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop? That's right, that's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. Wait, when did you... Once a pickpocket, always a pickpocket. If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh, good, because next week is when you're going to Paris. Oops, I wasn't supposed to tell you. Oh, yes, Gina, I'm sure you'll be promoted. Poor Gregson. Alright, Doge, lead the way. Right then, Errol, leave it to me. Sorry? We're going to get going after that dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. Oh, right. Oh well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson again. Just ask them. There's clearly two cops right behind you. Ready, Toby? Got that oil scent, have you? Come on then, boy. See you later. Later. There we go. I do hope the scent of that oil leads him to that swindler's workshop. Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across I almost said the Chanel. Like... the Chanel to France. Swims across the channel to France. So, maybe now our protagonist waves will? No. We'll try examining again, real quick. Anything in any of the corners? Chandelier? Book. Oh, book! Look at this big, thick, obvious book here, Hiten. Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. Oh? What is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. They're hungry. 500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses. I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances, and scalpel blades can be sharpened, too. Does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be eating them all for? What are you doing? Ah! Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so we looked at your private files. So you thought you'd snoop around. That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? What do you mean, you people? Well, what do you want? Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmon's body, I mean. So we came to ask you about your findings, on Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we are done, you must leave immediately. So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined on its examination of the scene. The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asman who appeared moments later, partway up the Crystal Tower. A fated sub too! 30 months? That's excessive. I should rearrange. That's what I should have done to force her to show up. Go through her Dewey Decimal System and change it all around. Make it worse. Make it better. Were, without question, one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion. Well, we're positive that that's not true, so what the hell? But that can't be right. If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see. If two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they? Duh. Like, that's the first a kindergartner could figure that out. Very true. But sadly, in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared, and the man who subsequently reappeared, was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident. Ah, fingerprints. They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system, but one day they will be used as an investigative aid, as a matter of course. The Dvorak's. That's the... What, is it a keyboard layout? Yeah, instead of QWERTY, you're gonna have Dvorak. It could be really good. I mean, think how many people are out there using WASD to move around like fools, like absolute imbeciles instead of ESDF. Am I one of those fools for using QWERTY? Oh my, but that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery. Oh, hi. Mama, what is this? Ag! Where did she spring from? The stork. That's why she looks like a bird. And did she just call the doctor Mama? This is a lawyer, dear. Oh. Hello? To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Ryusuke Naruhodo... Mama? Yes? Can I cut this one up? What? I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Boring. I think I just had a near-death experience. Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse. Then let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Is that Ott? Is that Ott and she's going to fling me into the sun because she thinks that I'm dead when I was really just angry? So, what are you doing at the moment, Doctor? Keeping a close eye on things so no impertinent Easterners think they can look around my office. Are there such Are there such impertinent Easterners around? How terrible. Yes, you. She doesn't mince her words, Miss Susato. I think perhaps it's time we left. Cutting up He-10 is only for chat. Come back here. Present him with... Oh, I don't even have the card anymore. Whom? Whomstv. What is that? It's just something I was hoping to ask your opinion about, that's all. It's a serious crime for the defense to attempt to extract information from the prosecution by illegal means. And I get the message, but I don't see what's illegal about me asking. Back to prison, maybe? I didn't really find anything out just now. I mean, we found out the fingerprints. She's like, oh, there's fingerprints, but that's not gonna affect anything. Right. Not allowed to go there. There's plenty of stuff I can examine here, but... yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Tried turning the court off and back on again. Only professionals should attempt to do that. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you? The sign says it's the Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside. I know, can you believe that? Pay more money as if we haven't been scared enough already? It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo. Wait a minute, that bucket. It's the murderer. I mean, I already looked at this the day before the trial, so I don't think I need to go through and look at it all again. Especially if the move dialogue doesn't say, like, come here. It says, come back later. Well, I get different dialogue now if I... No, I guess I can examine things while she's standing there. It doesn't make a difference. These books have been arranged to form a ramp for a shot put ball. And I'm the one who did it. Try going back here and talking to her, see if she said anything. Or can I, is it escape that you can, or options maybe? I thought there was somewhere you could go where you would see them like actually suggest something. But I guess not. I guess that's just this down here. That I had said this was cool before, that it gives you a little bit of an idea of where you need to go next. But in this case, maybe Sholmes is here in the apartment and I just haven't panned around. Right there. Get a jar. Get a jar for your skull. Unsanitary, just leave it on the shelf like that. Oh, I just noticed that was she's the coroner. Her name was listed on the autopsy report. There we go. How could this have happened? You must feel awful. As well as a man losing his life, the Crystal Tower was greatly damaged too. Don't forget that. Property? I know what happened. It must have been that. That? I mean that? The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal of frankfurters at the hotel restaurant. When I paid the bill, they gave me 3 shillings too much in change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins into my pockets. They're still there now. It's divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is. For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Inmates can have whatever they want. Oh, well, I might as well save while I'm thinking about it. Too often, I go an entire investigation without saving. It's like if something were to happen, you know, computer just spontaneously reboots or something, I wouldn't want to lose all that progress. Oh, gosh. Back here, maybe? Here's the scorching on the ground that you mentioned. Yes, and there's what's left of the green balloon's envelope. All clear evidence that the balloon exploded on the day of the incident. Snorthweast 5 times? Spoilers! Snorthweast. Poor Professor Hairbrain. I do feel sorry for him that his dreams have been shattered like this. Someone's well and truly burst his bubble, as it were. Ouch. I'm a bad person. Oops. I missed him. Ah, the Crystal Tower. I can't believe I'm seeing it such close proximity with my own eyes. You've really been looking forward to the great exhibition, haven't you, Miss Susato? Oh yes, when I found out that I had to return to Japan, I'm afraid I cursed my luck. But here you are, back in London, gazing up at the magnificent tower, its spire threatening to pierce the canopy. I know, perhaps I was wrong to curse my luck so harshly. Oh look, a flying balloon. I've never seen one in the flesh before. Such tender balloon flesh. Delicious. I can't understand how they can fly, and so high up as well. Oh, but think of the view, Mr. Naruhodo. You must be able to see for miles and miles. I do think of it, and it terrifies me. I mean, it would be certain death if he fell out. I'm sure they're perfectly safe. After all, they've been invented by some of the brightest minds in the world. Let's not forget that we know at least one has exploded. I'm sure there are other ways to fly. What a shame that the symbolic landmark of the Great Exhibition has been damaged like that. Yes. Unfortunately, the birdcage crashed in the most prominent position possible. It's the gods giving us a warning, if you ask me. No more shall man have wings to bear him to paradise. Henceforth he shall walk. But imagine what might have happened if the birdcage had landed in a slightly different location. The death toll could have been far worse. So I think perhaps it was a blessing in disguise. Well, the gods are benevolent, obviously. I did say it was just a warning. Man must travel under his own steam, or next time birdcages will rain down on all of you. Your faith is much stronger than I realized. Well, how do you think I passed the entrance exam for Yume University? It wasn't by studying alone. It was by studying with God. So when you study alone, you study with Hitler. Back up the stairs, maybe? Oh, I didn't just want to look at it. I wanted to go there. Come on. Come on. Oh, poor baby, your neck hurts. I need to go up there. Oh, dear. Okay, I'm having a stroke. That's fine. Oh, isn't it exhilarating, all this different architecture from all the corners of the world? It does make you feel a bit like an explorer, doesn't it? I know it's all subjective, but the onion-shaped roofs have rather caught my attention, personally. It is very subjective, isn't it? Japanese buildings with their wood and paper construction have excellent ventilation, And I've realized that British buildings being made from brick and stone and without windows are very strong and long-lasting. The more you know about how things are done in other countries, the more you understand your own, I feel. Oh yes, I do agree with you there. But I can't help wondering what an onion does for the roof of a building. I mean, I suppose it's playing on my mind because I don't like the taste of onions. You really oughtn't to let your taste in vegetables dictate your taste in roofs, Mr. Naruhodo. Is an onion really a vegetable? Philosophically? Oh, let's look at this giant thing. This wasn't here yesterday. Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air. That's right, the bird cage. According to what Professor Harebrained said in court, it's made of wood. Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. She didn't even have to look in her book that contains the menu prices as well as all different types of wood. And despite having been in an explosion and then falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruhodo? Is that going to fit in the courthouse? If you can fit an omnibus in the courthouse, I'm pretty sure you can fit a man-sized cage. I'd understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they'd finished their work. But sadly, not with the body inside it. No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but I am a naughty boy. This is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Oh, did I just pick it up? Put it in my pocket? With Count Von Dracula standing right next to me? No, it's still there. You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Yesterday, in fact, at Lord Von Zeke's office. I see. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that. You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems. What sort of problems? Foreign affairs problems. Well, we can do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Miss Susato. Of course. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber. I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months. Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful, you're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit. Yes, Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture. Wow, 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 wow. Protagonist waves cause Sholmes to spawn. Here we are again at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't got used to the place yet. I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home, via the confectionery, of course. Sato-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she? Eek! What's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruhodo, look at that waxwork. Quite sure it wasn't there before. It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes, down to the very last detail. Aha! What is it? Oh, sorry. I think you'll find out. It's the temporary waxwork himself. Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee. Oh, yes. Hello again. It's Ryonosuke Naruhodo. I must say, I am quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs. You don't mean... But yes, the mystery is solved already. Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough. So, as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties. Yes. His habitual duties? Hello? Do not disturb, huh? Poor Susato-san, she looks very perplexed. She's a dum-dum. And now to disturb, even though she explicitly said not to. We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I am longing to say hello again, but where is he? Think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually. Oh, what do you... Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I, the world-famous great detective and waxwork, Herlock Sholmes. Susato, it's just a series of moving of alternating pictures that are meant to look like a train is coming at you. You don't actually have to faint. Good God. My most humble apologies. I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London. My dear madame, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty-free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality. I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Merely a secret identity, you understand, though the case is largely solved now. Largely solved? We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume? Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I am yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today, for that matter. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephony? I think that's how that's pronounced. Oh yes, it's a most modern invention allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet. This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned. That's amazing! Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork after he was done using it for a teleporter scam. Teleportation fraud. Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no? Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive. But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary? A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tuspel's at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Well, Gina has a dog. Just ask her to bring it over and we'll eat that. Poor Iris. Now then, do I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork? What's all this about Kazuma-sama? Mr. Sholmes, did you fucking lie to us? My dear Mr. Naruhodo, stay that piercing stare. What is this about? Oh my god, are you? That I haven't put any effort into it yet. I did play one match and win, so I am undefeated. So I am better than you. So if you have any advice that you need to ask, 1 point. Aren't the MMRs in the thousands? Like you're probably at like 1,700 or 1,800, and you get 1 point for a second place finish. Terrible. Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear. So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. You told us that it was murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body. Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? Oh wow, okay, so you're really close. 1947 and 2000 is master. We met him earlier today, the victim, Kazuma Asugi. You're quite sure? He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. Well, were you up against, like, terrible people? Because that's the way it usually works, right? If you were playing against people who are lower rating than you, then you would get fewer points for winning and lose more points for losing. Although, do they let you see other people's scores when you play ranked? I don't actually know. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead. Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all? Ha 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 ha! Priceless! I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo? I could believe that the crewman present at the time could make a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes. I've never seen you get anything wrong. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives... It was very important, and yet, by the second word, I had already messed up. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. Oh, well, that's okay then. Talk to me about this other guy. I don't think 14 makes that distinction. Really? Full games gave the same amount of short games, and I can still queue into novice slot. Huh. That is strange. I wonder if they're doing that ranking in a weird way, I wonder if the PvP stats are also going to be weird. Good evening, Blind. Thank you for the host. We're in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh? Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the Kinesis machine. A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts, too, with considerable knowledge of white magic. He has a white he unlocked the white mage job. So he is no longer a conjurer. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on. That's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least, I might be in a better position to help. Yes, Drebber's appearance. Fortunately for you, however... Oh, that's him. Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it. Okay, well, do you want the picture of him?